follow this. I like the idea of horror movies, but I feel like often they feel to me as if they're a little cliche or executed in a way that I can kind of imagine is predictable. So I took up a habit of like watching a series of clips from the movie on YouTube while reading the Wikipedia synopsis alongside, totally to destroy any artistic integrity or intention.
A lot of work.
You're just like microdosing art.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not healthy. It's not a good way to consume it. It's disrespectful. It's bad.
The king because he's got the pennant as well as the crown.
That's right, baby. Welcome to Oops All Segments, the very best podcast hitting your eardrums at this very moment. I'm Kevin.
I'm Thomas, and today we are here with comedian at law, Carly Olson. Welcome, Carly. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. Sorry. Oh, I already jumped in and...
No. That was correct.
All right, I already commented on the swag from medieval times, so sorry, I didn't wait until my introduction.
It's not gonna ruin the episode, but it did sort of start things on a weird pace.
You are going to join a short list of guests who have sort of come in hot, come in too soon, come in too ready, but that's fine. Yeah. It's a good list to be on.
Restart?
No,
we're
we will
in
never.
Pretty deep at this point.
Yeah,
It would be
honestly,
hard to kind of recapture the spark of the opening, especially
right.
with Kevin revealing his medieval times gear. Kevin, did you pay for a VIP spot at medieval times?
You know I wasted that money, baby. You know I bet.
What does that allow you to see that the regular patrons are denied?
Let's just see the animal abuse up close and personal. It's
how
pretty
the Pepsi
tough.
Gets made too.
Exactly. How the flat Pepsi gets made.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
call them
did.
front of house. They're not animals just because they serve you.
No, this robe is immensely hot. I have to take it off. I'm not feeling well. I'm sick.
So because Kevin just came back from a trip with our friend Luke, and whose idea was it to sort of shell out on medieval times?
This boy right here. Your big boy right here.
I actually one time, so a group that I was in, an improv group, had a show, like we did a run, we were losing money, and then like the last day of the show, a busload of children came to it. It was a drinking show, so I'm not sure why they came to it.
Okay.
But we made our money, and then we decided to use that money. We would go to medieval times, and we would rent a limo to do it.
Yes.
So one of the best nights of my life was getting wasted in a limo on the way to medieval times, and then being probably really, really obvious about the fact that we were spiking our own drinks. But it was really fun.
Was the limo drawn by horses, or was it a motorized limo? Okay, nice.
That was more so because there had been an EMP.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It does sound like you had the experience that the kids were maybe intending to have. It seems like the kids maybe should have gone to medieval times.
It's not a great look to say the best day of my life started when a busload of kids was dropped off at my show.
It was a different day. Okay.
Oh, sure. You didn't go the same evening. I got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's good.
Don't be ridiculous.
Have you
been to medieval times, Thomas? I'm the one fucker here who hasn't been.
Yeah. You're uncrowned.
Have you gone to like Renaissance fairs?
No, I have not. I watched the miniseries Ren Fair, and it seemed very scary and like there was a lot of politics to it.
Politics to the Ren Fair?
King George, he rules with an iron fist, and you never know who's going to take over when he dies. It might just be no one.
I think
you guys seen the show Ren Fair on HBO?
No, but I've heard about it.
Well,
yeah,
it's pretty scary.
Scary. I've heard, I'm trying to remember it, just that there's a lot of intense personalities, right?
Yeah. Imagine someone who's devoted their whole life to their job at a Ren Fair.
Okay.
And just devoted to the leader, King George, this old freak who like goes on dates with women who have like, they must have large natural breasts or he won't even consider them. And he wants to be a sugar daddy so bad and he just wields power over everyone. And like a lot of the stuff about him I like, but the power part is,
so you're on side with all that other stuff, but the power stuff bothers
big
you?
floppy naturals, like, of course.
Floppy naturals.
Well, that's different. I mean, I don't know if King George needs them to necessarily have succumbed to gravity yet. But...
I all feel like human beings here, that I can relate to, but for him to withhold the keys to the kingdom from poor Jeff, and his name is Jeff, the manager, it's very, very sad. Anyway, Kevin, how was your experience?
I mean, not to storm through anything, greeting our guest here, but no. I'll just quickly recap. So I had a flight to Toronto last Tuesday, and on my flight to Toronto, it was delayed 5 hours, which is a nightmare. And I had to get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning for the flight, and then found out it was like delayed 5 hours.
Yeah.
And my partner Kara, she loves sleep more than anybody I've ever met in my entire life, so she was in a grand old mood. Actually, she took it like a champ, but I was in a bad mood, and it was pretty rough.
Classic projection. Yeah. My stupid girlfriend was taking it really well. I was pissed.
Bitch about it, man.
She's been a real old maid about it. But no, I was pretty upset. But so I kind of like we hit the ground in Toronto, like scampered off the airplane through the airport. As I was leaving the airport, an old woman stopped me and immediately started speaking Spanish to me because she thought I was Mexican and was asking for help. I'm not Mexican. I'm half Trinidadian and I'm half
white.
Don't
take so much offense to it, though.
Yeah, no. Did I put too much zhuzh on
really
Mexican when I said?
Yeah, you kind of were like, I really don't want to be mistaken for that.
That's not what I meant, no. But I felt bad, so I said lo siento, no hablo. Which
you
sort
hit
of
the H. You pronounce the H like a gringo.
Now they know that you definitely don't hablo.
Yeah, exactly. And so I ran out of the airport, got to the Airbnb because we had like the time it was going to take for us to get from the airport to the Airbnb to Medieval Times was pretty much just cutting it really close under the wire. It was super stressful. So we get to Medieval Times.
It was like day of, you were like, we're going straight to Medieval Times.
Well, that wasn't the plan. We were supposed to have like 4 hours of fucking cushion.
But still, like, we better get there because the rezo is today. I like it.
We were helping someone immigrate to Canada, and the first day was the only day that we weren't occupied with them.
They think that Canada is still in like the 1400s because that's their first experience. Whoa!
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what you guys do with horses over there, but here's what we do with them. And so anyway, we get there. It was a great experience, and a lot of it was fun. I will say it's hard to watch a show that involves animal performances in that way that doesn't make you feel a little but outside of that
feeling about zoos too.
Oh yeah, for sure. But the performers, I think, put on. I was watching them being like, I could never do this. I'm just physically, I do not have it in me to like ride a horse and do these feats of strength and then also perform. And you could see a few of them by the end of that last act where they're fighting each other. A couple of them are really phoning it in. But I feel for them. I feel for them. Our wench, and that's what she demanded we call her. Our wench was very friendly. There was way too much meat that we were forced to eat with our hands. I did not realize that was part of the experience. I don't like eating with my hands, so I had to eat half
Especially
the chicken.
Meat, like
yeah.
I need to remove
this business hates animals.
And meat.
I want to check, Kevin. What about this whole thing did appeal to you? You didn't want the meat. You didn't like the horses. The fighting sucked. I just wanted to call a woman a wench. Is that too much to ask?
You know, I was curious. I was curious, and I did not do a lot of research. Admittedly, I'm pretty sure that the only thing I really knew about Medieval Times was from the fucking cable guy. Okay,
the cable guy. Yeah.
You just
wanted
of course.
To make a really good friend.
I just wanted to beat up Luke with a big stick with pads on it, and I didn't even get the chance to do that because that obviously doesn't happen in real life. They don't do that. That's not part of the show. But no, it was fun. It was large scale and it was interesting. But that was just a little blip. And now I'm back from Toronto. I'm deathly ill. I performed at Comedy Bar. I had a good show there. It was a good time.
You glossed over you're deathly ill?
Oh yeah, no, I'm dying. I have
Black Plague. It's back.
I contracted.
Was bitten by a rat at medieval times.
Yeah, he's got bugles.
On the last day of our trip, I think the constant go and the lack of air conditioning or any humidity control in the shitty little Airbnb that I had, or the fact that I was socializing and mixing with all kinds of people, the fact that I had to yell at a man who I was walking with Kara, and there was a woman at a intersection, and she was with her family, and she had a little girl who was probably about 11 to 12 years old, and the little girl was wearing a Palestine jersey with an image of Palestine on the back, and a man walked by in like a business suit, and he muttered something hateful at her and her family, and so I chanted back free Palestine in support, and then he called me terrorist scum as he walked away. So all of these things, all of these metropolitan experiences have made me ill, and I'm come down with a cold.
No wonder you want to go back to the 1400s or whatever.
Exactly, when they would just treat people like me as slaves and nothing more, but I wouldn't have to interact with anyone else.
Is there any ethnicity people didn't mistake you for on this trip?
Yeah, because I'm not Palestinian either. But no, exactly. But that was my little trip to Toronto. Normally,
good for you though,
Carly, we start the show off with a check-in with our guest. So rather than having me take up all of this airspace, what's new with you? What's going on in your life?
Well, I was going to I'll use something that I was going to bring up in response to your statement that medieval times was a new thing for you and that you hadn't really done research going into it.
Yeah.
That is now how I'm approaching everything I can, especially things like movies and books.
Yeah. Like anti-trailer now, right?
Yeah, like I don't want to know, because one of my favorite things is being surprised by a movie,
Sure.
And, like when something fucking hits the rails halfway through, and you're like, I have no idea where this is going to go now.
Yeah.
I love that. So I've been trying for movies I've been going to, especially, not to watch trailers, not to read reviews. And
I admire that.
Yeah, for books it's a little harder because it's such an investment.
Yeah. Well, and there's just like you got very little to go off of. Do you read the back cover? Yeah. Are you reading like the back?
I read
cover
the back cover. Yeah,
sure.
I
think that's fair game.
Yeah,
that's like the poster of a movie.
Yeah,
it's risky for podcasts to have that policy, though. You really should.
That's why Carly's here today.
Yeah,
I know.
When you're going into the lion's den, you might want to bring some kibble. So, listening to the podcast is kibble. But wait, so Carly, how do you choose a movie? Like, I want to see this, but I don't have much to go off of. Is it just the title? Is it the poster? How do you like decide?
Oh, that's a good question.
Is it
like
just if it's in the MCU or not?
Yeah, I only watch things in the MCU.
Oh, that's easy. Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, that and the 90 Day Fiancé universe really are all that I watch.
Sure. Two big
cinematic universes.
No, I feel like, I'll see a preview before I see a movie, and generally that'll give me a, do I want to see it or not? Right. But like once I know that and hear from people like, oh, it's good, or you got to go see it or whatever, then I'm like, okay, I'll see it. Or if there's somebody in it that I really like, or somebody who, a filmmaker that I like, I'll do that. Like,
do you have an example of like the platonic ideal of like a movie you were surprised by, like it was a different genre than you thought, or it was like, whoa, I didn't even know it was this kind of movie?
Yes. So the one that immediately comes to mind is Hereditary. Have you seen this?
Yeah. Yes.
I have not seen Hereditary.
Oh, God.
I'm pretty sure that little girl's going to have her head the whole time.
Yeah, that's what you think of. I don't want to spoil it, but...
I mean, it's fair. It's fair game. I have a tendency to do the exact opposite of this with horror films, so it's possible I've already done this. I'll explain after, but yeah.
So, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the film Hereditary, which I believe is from 2018, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so the trailers were all, I love it when they do this, the trailers were all like, oh, it's going to be about this little girl who's creepy, because she's cutting the heads off birds and stuff like that.
Sure,
and it seems like, okay, we know that this is a movie about a girl who's maybe, I don't know, possessed or something like that. And then maybe, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes into the movie, the girl gets decapitated. And then the rest of the movie isn't really about her because she is decapitated. You see her head on the road. Like, it's crazy. But, like, because that's all that's been shown in the trailer, it's like,
sure.
Holy crap, what is the rest of this movie going to be? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Even having seen like some previews, I was very surprised by that. It's very upsetting and shocking.
It is very upsetting.
I have a tendency to like follow this. I like the idea of horror movies, but I feel like often they feel to me as if they're a little cliche or executed in a way that I can kind of imagine is predictable. So I took up a habit of like watching a series of clips from the movie on YouTube while reading the Wikipedia synopsis alongside, totally to destroy any artistic integrity or intention.
A lot of work.
You're just like microdosing art.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not healthy. It's not a good way to consume it. It's disrespectful. It's bad.
Doesn't Connor O'Malley have a joke about how he watches movies in like 1 minute YouTube shorts?
I think he just he's finished talking about how he'd been watching Billions on YouTube shorts.
Sorry to interrupt you, Kevin, but I wanted to acknowledge for Hereditary. One, Carly, you a little bit of Toni Collette vibes. I don't know if you get that. But I feel like
very much.
Yeah.
I've been mistaken for Toni Collette before.
Okay, sure.
And congratulations, that's huge.
Thank you. I know. I was very happy.
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah. But second, there's I met this guy doing $10 comedy, so maybe you know him too, Carmen Christopher. But his new special, really, really funny. He has a bit about Hereditary, which I love, where he talks about. He's like, if I decapitated my little sister on the way home from a party, I'd at least put the head back on the body and try to fool mom. It's a great bit. I sort of ruined it, but it is hilarious. You should check out his special. I'm also trying to Instagram DM him until he comes on the show. He hasn't responded yet. So,
we're manifesting it, I guess. Is that what this is?
I will, he thinks that I'm great.
Yes.
He definitely remembers meeting me once.
Good.
So I'll tell him.
This is huge. I'll
Sounds
contact
good.
Peter. He seemed to have the hook up.
Well, now I feel like this is sort of an audition. Now you've put this sort of heat on me.
Yes.
Sort of pressure on for me to try hard. But Thomas, what's new? Well, I should ask this. Carly, was that leading? Did you check out something? I asked you what's new with you, and you mentioned that was the thing. Did you recently check out something without much knowledge about it, and then did it surprise you, or was that just sort of your inspiration, which is totally fine? That's fine too.
Yeah, I this past weekend watched A Quiet Place Day 1, and part of why I watched that.
This is a prequel, right?
Yeah, part of why I watched that was going back to Alex Wolff from Hereditary. He was in a movie called Pig with Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
Writer-director of a new Quiet Place Day 1 wrote and directed as well. And I really liked that movie. And that was another one where I had no idea what to expect going in. Like,
I kind of feel like that might be better than the other Quiet Places, because I
Have you seen the other
know
ones?
That Krasinski is top dog director-wise, you know?
No, there is a moment in it that we laugh about, my husband and I, because he has like his sort of workstation in their home, and he's got like checklists and stuff. And there's one that just in capital letters goes, "What is their weakness?" And then like another one goes like, "Sound."
I love that. There's a screen cap of that whiteboard that is like a meme, I think, and it's so funny. Like,
what is their weakness? Never forget the thing that you're trying to find out.
Yeah.
Never forget the thing you're trying to find out. Mm-hmm. That's fascinating. So did you like Day 1?
I did, yeah. I'll be honest, it's very different than the other ones, and I really liked the first Quiet Place.
Okay.
There's a lot of individual moments and vignettes in it that I remember still.
Sure.
Like, I can actually recount a fair amount of it, I feel like. Mm-hmm. Whereas Quiet Place Day 1, like, the character development's really good, but I can't say like, oh, and then they go to this thing, and then this happens. It's kind of all one big disaster movie.
Okay.
But it's really well done. I mean, and Lupita Nyong'o is great.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the cast and the cinematography
Kevin,
and everything.
You watched part of that movie on Snapchat, right? While you were
I actually
did. He had the cat filter on.
I did.
So
yeah, the thing I couldn't get over was the dancing hot dog never seemed to catch up to anybody. But I actually did the YouTube clips and Wikipedia for the first Quiet Place movie for sure. I remember doing that, so it's interesting that's true of this one here.
But that has excellent clips. Probably.
It does. It has great clips, great clips. And I
think
might even do the same thing for day one.
A B- or like a C+ movie. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but like a movie at that level, sometimes just watching the highlight clips, like the best 5 scenes, will save you like 2 hours. It could be good. I mean,
that's the theory.
I'm a film buff, so it's blasphemous for someone like me, but I could see how a sort of a Philistine might enjoy something like that.
Call me a Philistine.
As for my check-in,
right?
I'm going to go lightning round because we've gone a little long on this opening, but I feel like I just learned that the zoo is upsetting for people who care about animals. My friend Justin visited. He's a vegetarian, coming on vegan maybe, and took him straight to the Chicago Zoo.
Pushed him over the edge then.
Time. He seemed to enjoy it, but maybe he was very upset by all of it. I will say we saw the best gorilla interaction I've ever seen, where there was this gorilla who was like resting with a blanket, and this other gorilla who was like very actively, like playfully trying to get the blanket from him or take the sleeping spot. And so he'd like lunge in, the other guy would get up, they'd chase each other around, then he'd go back and he'd sleep. And he kept going for it. And then at one point, the gorilla that had the sleeping spot got really upset and pulled the blanket right over his head like he was a little kid. And it was like the most human thing. Like he was like, "Leave me alone!" Like it was so great. I loved it. So that's really a very happy memory. And secondly, as of this episode's release, I have officially quit Drunk Shakespeare. I've done my last show.
Shit!
So the end of an era, 600 plus shows. And yeah, congratulations to me. I feel like medieval times might be a little like performing at Drunk Shakespeare 600 times. Like, it's got all this spectacle and probably it's more scripted than it appears. And there's, some things like that you just sort of, people might phone it in at a certain point because they're tired of jousting.
Right. They're just like tapping out at that point. Well, congratulations, man. Congratulations for getting out. Congratulations. You didn't mention that anyone vomited at any point.
Oh yeah, we had to evac the
second last
on Saturday because someone puked on themselves during the 9 p.m. show. And there's a policy for like aerial virus hazards that we have to get everyone out. But we didn't really know that, and our manager was on vacation, so we had to kind of like figure it out very haphazardly, get everyone out. They came back in. We were like, you don't have to sit in that same section. We did sanitize it, but you can move to another seat if you prefer. And for some reason, pretty much everyone was like, no, we're going to stay in the vomit section. And I was like, okay. So
they wanted to feel like they were really in the one of the groundlings,
Yeah.
Right in the pit with Shakespeare's faves. Should we spin the little wheel for a warm up?
Spin the wheel. We got to get started with these segments. That's what the people come for.
Spin the wheel. Spin the wheel.
What do we got?
Nerd culture. Participants must discuss a topic from nerd culture.
Oh.
I burped a little bit while I explained that.
That's kind of gross and interesting. Would you consider yourself part of any specific nerd fandoms at all, Carly?
So I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a contemporary nerd. I'm more of I'm a book nerd. I'm a Greek mythology nerd. I don't know.
Thomas and I took a Greek mythology class together.
Oh, really?
It was intro to Greek culture.
Is that what it was?
A little bit of Greek mythology. I don't know. I probably still have my notes.
I don't.
I could pull them up somewhere.
But we could talk about Greek culture. We could talk about Greek mythology.
Do you have a favorite myth?
Well, I can tell you how I almost ended up being a classics major because I took. So I loved Greek mythology ever since I was little. There's one book in particular that anybody obsessed with it had when they were little, which is, I don't even know how to say it, but Dolores' Book of Greek Myths. It's a beautiful, big, illustrated book. My brother was studying it in class, and I just stole it from him and read it until it fell apart.
Sure.
And so when I went to college, I was really excited that I could choose my classes. And I, as a nerd, immediately signed up for like 5 English classes and a Greek mythology class and was like, yay. So I had to drop some of the classes because it turns out you can't read like 3 novels a week, or at least I can't. But my professor for Greek mythology was the funniest and smartest person. And like the first lecture that I had with him, I was like, I don't care what you do, I'll follow you. Like cult leader type thing.
Sure.
His name was Danny Richter, and he was, I think, on loan from Princeton. And he was just so great. And I just loved him so much. He actually had, he used to date Conan O'Brien's now wife.
Wow. What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he's a cool dude.
No kidding.
But I took his Greek mythology class and loved it. So basically every semester I'd be like, what's Danny teaching? I'll take that. And so eventually it got to a point where it was like, well, you are almost a classics major now. But I would have
You've
to
taken
have
all these classes.
More. Yeah. But he had like a sort of subgroup of not classics majors, but like theater majors, which is what I was, which were like just devotees of his.
Sure.
So that was how my love for Greek mythology almost ended up with me getting an even more useless degree than I already have.
Well, that's awesome. That's kind of cool.
Wait, don't you have a law degree? That's pretty useful.
I said useless.
Oh, okay, but you said even more useless, and I was like, wait a second.
Well, I have a theater degree.
Oh,
I was going to say,
the theater and fiction writing.
Post-grad, Thomas and I were sort of led by a cult leader in and of himself in our Greek, our introduction to Greek culture class. It's sort of an interesting tale, but the short of it is we took a summer session course, right, T? It was like only like a month long?
Yeah. It was the summer accelerated class. I have my notes up right now, but I'll explain. You explain what.
Sure. So, and you can totally fill in details that I may or may not be missing here. But we had a professor. It was like maybe there was like 25 students in the class. We were young in our university careers, and we had a young man who was probably in his late 20s, early 30s, named Chris Pennock as our professor, as our instructor. And Chris was maybe the most interesting professor I've ever had at the University of Manitoba. And that says something because, I had a theater degree. I have 2 degrees from that university. And I've had a lot of people teach me. But Chris, he started the first class, he ran in like a little frantic, but was like, seemed well put together, a little nervous. He always had these weird sort of mannerisms. You look like you know this guy. Or you just
sounds
engaged.
Like Danny Richter.
Oh,
maybe he changed
the same thing.
So this does end with Chris like changing his name and leaving the city. So I
became your professor.
There's a universe where he hit up Conan O'Brien's now wife and was also
the arc that Kevin's describing though. At first he seemed a little flustered, kind of nerdy, friendly, polite, and like
it was probably one of his first classes he was teaching.
As the semester went on, he just became more and more unhinged. He started making like more kind of off-color jokes. He asked us to go out for beers with him.
He would like bully one of the students like with like there was like how like a lot of those students have like a lot of those classes will have like one try-hard student who's like answering for the professor and stuff. So that would happen, and then he would like make eyes at like Thomas and I and be like, "Oh, get a load of this fucking guy, hey." It was like he like thought we were homies. It was so weird.
He was like, I got one question wrong that was very obvious about like the options were gold, frankincense, myrrh, or like the right answer. And not having any religious education whatsoever, I picked, I think, myrrh. And he was like, and as he was reading the answer key to the test, I remember he was like, and obviously the answer is not myrrh. That would be really stupid. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I had gotten
only
it wrong.
A dumb idiot would do that.
Kevin does have a remix of recordings of this guy's voice, which I don't know if we should play on the podcast.
I mean, it's probably not as funny for anyone who wasn't in the class.
Maybe not. Maybe we'll leave that for the end of the episode.
Yes,
Thomas, do you want to quiz me on anything?
I was going to. Yeah, so, well, I'm happy if you have something to share, but I have some Greek test terms, so I can read them and you can guess what they mean. Some of them may be easier than others. But what do we think the hoi agathoi refers to?
Hoi? Okay, so HOI, I'm assuming?
HOI, and Kevin, you can guess as well.
The hoi agathoi. Well,
I think it's a group of people. And I'm thinking hoi polloi.
Yes.
That's like the common people.
What is hoi polloi? I'm unfamiliar. It's not common enough for this commoner.
No, it is the common people.
It is the common people. So I would say hoi athenoi?
Agathoi.
Agathoi? Would maybe be farmers.
So, Kevin, what's your guess?
I think it's going to be sort of a greeting you give to, say, Catherine Hahn, otherwise known as Agatha Harkness from the MCU.
Sure.
Hello, Agatha.
Hoi, Agatha.
Hoi.
Yeah.
So like how an Irish person would say hi to her. No, they refer to the good. So this would include the wealth and ancestry kind of in the society, as opposed to the hoi kakoi, the bad, which includes people outside of landed nobility, according to these notes at least. How about this? What is an ephebe?
An ephebe?
EPHEBE?
Yes. Could be pronouncing that wrong. There's a
one
word definition for the ephebe.
I'm gonna say it's a kind of urn.
Great guess.
I think it's a missile that Tony Stark launched in the second Iron Man movie.
Stop, you love, and nerd culture keeps coming back into this shit because he loves the MCU. No, it means youth, which is what those movies are for, by the way, you grown man. Stop watching your little guys. Okay, last question for all the marbles.
Oh man, this is not in my wheelhouse.
Me neither. I don't remember even one part of this. Let's do a slightly more known one. So this is, what is a phalanx?
Phalanx? PHALANX?
Yes.
I think it's a whole lot of something.
Kevin?
I genuinely believe, and I'm not kidding, I think the Phalanx are also a name of an alien race from X-Men. It's from the X-Men. I'm not kidding. Hold on. I'm going to look it up because I think it is.
Correct.
It is. It is.
And that was what I was looking for. Thank you, Kevin. No, it's actually a tightly packed formation of hoplites. So they would kind of arrange in this formation and they would go into battle. The phalanx, and it would, I think, create a lot of shields with spears so they'd be safe and kind of could push forward militaristically.
I mean, it is also the name of a comic, an X-Men villain. I'm just going to say
that was very elegantly done, Kevin, working in nerd culture.
And I will also say,
well, I did what I can. Thank you for commenting on it.
Carly,
it's also
a universe.
There was a universe where I was worried we lost Carly for a second there, but it doesn't look like we have. She appears to be back.
That was because I was like, no, I'm not listening to this anymore.
Yeah. Fair point.
Yeah. You can always tell when the guest pulls up another tab because their video gets choppy. They're like checking the AP news or whatever. Okay, well, let's take a quick break. Let's thank some friends, and then we'll be back with Carly's segment.
Webster's Dictionary defines podcast as a domesticated, odd-toed, hoofed mammal with a great affinity for oats.
That's a horse.
Right.
But we are a podcast, and we're called Roommate Lovers.
We do advice questions. Things like, why is my roommate using my toothbrush?
How do I flirt without being creepy?
And why did you use my toothbrush?
I told you I couldn't find mine.
Gross.
We live together, and we are together, which is why the show is called Roommate Lovers. Get it?
Find new episodes of Roommate Lovers on Mondays, wherever you podcast.
Now that's a podcast of a different color.
You mean horse?
Yarp.
We have returned. Carly, do you have a segment for us?
I do. So my segment I call Shark Tank. And
Okay.
this is where you will be pitching me shows for reality TV stations.
Okay.
And then I will choose who has the best one. So I have a set of different channels. I think we'll see how far we get. But I would like to start with TLC, the Learning Channel. It used to be.
Learning Channel.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, 90 Day Fiancé is one of their tentpoles. They also, however, have MILF Manor and Sister Wives. So, really classy. Way to learn.
What kind of
about
learning are they doing on these shows?
a lot of learning about breast augmentation, I think.
Great.
So I would like each of you to pitch me a show that is in the vein of TLC. Does anybody need to know anything about those shows? I haven't watched all of them, but are you familiar with them?
I'm just giving it a quick Google. I feel like I know what I need to know.
Can you
Though I
tell me
was
a
going to
little
pitch
synopsis,
an
Thomas?
educational show. So, well, Kevin, I mean, these are like weird. They're dating shows essentially, or do they follow around a certain type of people? Perhaps.
Are they like following the relationship, or are they like?
Because they also have My 600-Pound Life. There's High School Moms. There's Toddlers and Tiaras.
Sure.
Yeah, they've got a wide variety. So I don't know that there's anything. I would say they follow unusual people
Right.
in their maybe not so hinged day-to-day existences.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've got one already. I've got a show.
Okay, great.
Is there a structure by which you'd like us to pitch, or do you
Well, you
just
should
want
do
like
a
title
Shark
and
Tank pitch. I think.
So I think-
do it in the style, right?
Yeah, you do a pitch. I'll ask you some follow-up questions if I feel that it's appropriate.
Oh boy, I wasn't prepared for follow-ups, but we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna call
be
it
ready.
George's
Don't be scared.
BFN. George's BFN.
Okay.
Also known as George's Big Floppy Naturals. It's a show. It's a show in which we have to find a Ren Fair sort of player who plays King George. We have to find his sort of ideal. It's like a contest style dating show. Where we have to find the woman who has the biggest floppiest naturals that fits his sort of.
I'm so
pardon me for
relieved
being a
this
little
is
bit
not
objectifying.
about my
but yeah.
dad. I'm so relieved. My dad's name is George for those who don't know, and that was a huge fear of mine. So,
Yeah. That's what I got.
So I think I'm gonna say you could do something with that where they joust with their boobs.
That's ideal. Yes, some sort.
that it's
I think the
a
competitions can be
competition.
like, medieval times esque, sort
Exactly.
of, night style competitions.
Mead luge off of their big floppy naturals.
That's good.
Stuff
They have
like
to
that.
test to see how many steins they can carry. I guess I don't know what else
Sure.
people do that are medieval contests. Horse riding,
Yeah.
like obviously the bucking bronco of it all.
Fire breathing.
Fire breathing, because why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of my pitch.
Okay, I like that.
George's
I like that.
BFN.
All right. Thomas, do you have one?
I want to say that feels like it might encroach on intellectual property, a show that already exists. But Sharks, thank you for meeting with me. For only a $1 million investment, you can have 30% of my show. This is a show in which we place the most vulnerable of our society, Zoomers on the cusp of being Gen Alpha, preteens. And we have them race in miniature versions of NASCAR cars. So they are not old enough to have a driver's license except on this show, where we've created a course where they race the full F1 circuit. It is called Grand Preteen.
All right. I had a feeling you had the title first and then worked backwards from there.
Yes, feel like a little bit of a. Yeah.
Whatever made you think that, Carly?
So now, what do they win at the end of it?
If they win, they get to get a real driver's license early. So like a 12-year-old is going to be allowed to drive a full car.
No, I think it's interesting because like a lot of kids are not driving these days. Apparently, they just don't want to.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's because they're having less sex,
uncool?
and without sex, there's no reason to drive.
Is
It's
it
chicken and
uncool
egg.
because they're broke or climate involved? And those are the only three reasons I can imagine.
I think it's not necessarily uncool, but from what I've heard, it is the like just laziness. To put it, now that sounds like a terrible thing from a millennial to say, but like
Kids
more so
these
like-
days.
yeah, they don't want to drive their own cars. But yeah, they don't want to drive their own cars. They're like,
So they're all
just
getting, like,
Uber,
Lyfts and
Lyft
Ubers?
it. Yeah.
Oh,
I
sure.
do also, I could imagine there's more staying home, maybe post-pandemic, less like sense of freedom associated with the car.
Being able to drive was such
there's
a big
double
deal
advantage
for me.
of this show. Hang on, Kevin. There's a double advantage of my show because it will get teens back into driving.
I see.
Something.
Okay.
Oh, so we'll have a lot of auto ads for this.
Yeah.
And you want, to be clear, Thomas, you want preteens driving at like race car level
Formula
Grand Prix
One cars,
courses.
but they're little. It's like Mario Kart. Like they look like Baby Luigi, and their car's the size of Baby Luigi's.
Okay, that changes things because that's
Does
pretty
it?
adorable.
Why?
Yeah.
That's a lot
It is-
cuter, honestly.
It is a lot cuter.
Yes.
I mean, and if they actually had like real bananas that they could throw and
Yes.
stuff like that, that would be
That's
great.
something.
Grand
That's
Prix
something for
team.
sure.
Oh man,
Okay.
that sounds
Okay.
great.
So
But
is
I'm gonna go with Big Floppy Natch.
No, this is how does this keep happening? In the early podcast days, I won every contest. Now Kevin's on a streak.
Sorry, it was just really hard. I love the idea of a reality show where it's a medieval times or, a Ren Fair.
This already exists.
It
It's
does
called
sort of-
Ren Fair.
But it does sort of fit the programming, the current
It
programming
does.
of TLC.
It
whereas
does.
yours
Kevin
is more
just summarized a
youth-focused,
show that already
action-focused.
was made.
I
This
didn't.
is
I don't
such
even know what you're
bullshit.
talking about. I've never seen Ren Fair. Carly's never seen Ren Fair.
You just
no
added
one's
a
watched your
slight
weird
game show element to an existing show I summarized.
I mean, come on. Isn't that what, entertainment is?
Yeah,
you take
yeah.
something that's successful and you add one little thing to it.
Let's get to
Isn't
round
MILF Manor
two.
just
Shut
desperate
the fuck
housewives?
up. No,
Like-
that's a fictional show. Let's see what's next.
Okay. So the next one I have is let's see. Okay. Let's see. We'll go to HGTV, where
Okay.
we have things like House Hunters, where people go see a few houses and then decide which one to buy. Love It or List It, where somebody comes in and says, "I could redo your home," or another person says, "I could sell your home," and they decide which to do. And then the Property Brothers, where twins do flips.
Cool.
So
These are shows that I've watched while getting my teeth cleaned at the dentist because it's on
so there you go.
screen in the ceiling. Yeah.
So you have an idea of what to go for.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
T, do you want to go first this time or do you want me to go
I'll
first?
go first. I'm actually going to pitch a show that my brother came up with. So we're in business together.
Okay.
And for only $500, you can have 90% of my company.
Ooh.
So it is called Wrecking Ball USA.
Ooh.
The premise is two people compete for the opportunity to have their home like decked out, renovated, turned into a mansion, just like absolutely incredible.
Okay.
And they compete in various Survivor-esque or like home improvement challenges to try to win. And the winner gets their house upgraded into a mansion. But the loser of the show has their house demolished at the end of the episode. So their existing home where they live is destroyed by this wrecking ball. And the credits of every episode are them just picking through the rubble of their possessions as you see like the winning family celebrating outside. Wrecking Ball USA.
That's great.
Do
Your
they get a
brother really-
chance to like clear out the house first, or is it like
No,
second
no.
it happens? Okay, I think that's the better
wrecking
choice.
ball is hanging like by a thread, just waiting to demolish everything they hold dear. And
Sword
the
of
funny thing
Damocles.
about it, and we sort of feel like, as devastating as that outcome was, just knowing Americans, they love gambling, they would sign up. They'd be like, I'm gonna win, so
totally.
it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. And you
Oh,
could
yeah.
just destroy people's well-being, which is
and
sad.
who doesn't love watching something get destroyed?
Yeah,
it would be nice. It would be nice to sort of bring someone down as well as bring someone up. It really makes the zero sum of it all feel real.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. For $5,000, you can have 50% of my company here. I've got a great little show. It's a contest show, a la Listed or Love It or Love It or Listed or whatever. Called Squatters' Rights. In Squatters' Rights, two squatters compete for the opportunity to own a piece of property that's it's a season-long show. So maybe we follow each squatter trying to kind of both trying to eke out a little space for themselves inside of a home without being caught by the residing family that lives there, which will be hard because the television crews will be around. So I think maybe we'll have to do it as like a sort of hidden camera, Big Brother CCTV style show, where the cameras are sort of mounted in the rooms and things like that.
I can already hear the sort of shitty orchestration as it follows them, like crawling through the crawl space, like that HGTV music, like
in the walls.
And then like you get like some like some like theater school dropout to do the narration and hosting, and it's just overall a good time. It's overall a good time. I think at the end of the show, the sort of twist ending will be that like whichever squatter has succeeded for the longest time without getting caught, because I think you'll introduce competitions to try and get them caught and things like that towards the end, and whichever one succeeds,
like you have to find a morsel of food and then get back to your hiding place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And whichever one succeeds will get the opportunity to invite the other person in as a roommate, as a sort of like nice resolution. However, they're allowed to reject that option as well based on the behavior and things like that of the opposing squatter. So squatters' rights is what I'm going to pitch.
Okay. Both very worthy.
Yes.
However, I'm going to break a trend.
Huh?
I'm going to go with Thomas's Wrecking Ball.
Wow.
Yep. I'm very sorry, Kevin. I'm very sorry.
I sneezed, and I hope that doesn't blow it for me, because I am so honored. I hope that wasn't too loud.
It's okay.
Kevin looks like a dang gorilla right now.
That was what I was going for. Thank you. Thank you. Brilliant. What's the next
his
network?
blanket was over his head for those just listening to the audio.
The ones at home.
Okay, next up, and tell me when we're going like longish.
One more tiebreaker, if that, feels right.
That's a good idea. So I'm gonna do. Let's see. So you have your choice. I'm gonna between Bravo or the History Channel. Bravo has things like Real Housewives and Vanderpump Rules. History Channel has things like Alone, Ancient Aliens, Pawn Stars, and Ice Road Truckers. So I'm gonna let you choose which of those you are going to pitch on.
I'd like us to. Are we doing the same one? I think the History Channel seems fitting.
Bravo.
We talked about. You want to do Bravo?
No, I want to do the History Channel. I was just congratulating
for fuck's
you.
sake, you idiot. Okay. Okay, so we're doing the History Channel. They do aliens. They do weird shit. I think I've got it here. A series explaining, it's sort of like a paranormal docu-series where they sort of go into and investigate and try to find evidence of real happenings of the past. But these happenings are not, can we see if aliens were here? Or, can we see if the Bible, the events in the Bible happened? They're looking for sources and artifacts and telling the story of Greek myths. So they're going in, they're finding the Trojan horse. They're going in, they're finding the skull of the Cyclops. They're finding
just bringing up X-Men again, like you can't stay focused for 1 second.
The Cyclops
it's
from
quite
the
a
Iliad
gambit they're
the
making,
Odyssey.
but
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And there will be a Wolverine after them. And
yes, of course. Of course. And it's hosted by a man in a wheelchair who's bald. But aside from that, it's a Greek mythology sort of docu-series. And I think we could call it Unearthing Olympus.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it wouldn't be a competition. It would be more like a documentary style. Like
you could frame it into a competition. I'm open to suggestion. I could do like Amazing Race style contest. You get people to try and like discover these sort of things as they go, and that's part of it. But I do think that more
I think that's a good idea.
I think the History Channel's more invested in like fake in like it's pretending to inform people, right?
Totally.
Yeah. It's
more like Ancient Aliens type thing.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sort of pseudo informational. So I think that's maybe what I'm going for.
Okay, nice. All right, okay. Thomas.
So wait, what was it called again, Kevin?
Unearthing Olympus.
Okay, great.
Good.
So Sharks, for one handshake, you can have 100% of my company.
A handshake.
I am presenting to you. We all know that true crime is really big right now.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that historians might tell you is that true crime has always been a thing. There are lots of unsolved crimes from the past, so far in the past that the remains are buried under the earth. And we have hired some archaeologists to team up with detectives to solve these crimes from the past by unearthing skeletons in ancient villages and determining who killed who and with what. It's a modern game of Clue set in the past. You've heard of a murder mystery. This is murder history.
Oh, it was a very polished pitch.
Yeah, I was going to say, very compelling pitch there, Tebow.
Yeah, and I can have it for a handshake, so I'm going to
don't put your hand up like it's a screen. You both put your right hand forward.
So. Yeah, I think I think that they are both worthy opponents, worthy entrants into the contest. But I'm gonna go with Thomas.
Fuss.
I really appreciated that you tailored your I
pandered for this shit.
Me.
I don't give a fuck about Greek mythology. I don't care about Unearthing Olympus.
I could tell.
In your second round, were you also suggesting Carly would host it when you said a theater school person would host the second show?
Well, I thought if they could have a role, they might be on my team, but I guess not. I guess I should have stuck with what did I fucking win with before? I don't even fucking remember now.
Voiceover, man.
Fuck.
I do think it would be. Yeah, I want to read books on tape. That would be the best.
Yeah, that's the dream. You know, I have a friend who formerly worked at Drunk Shakespeare, Michael C. Hyatt, and now has been doing some audiobook work. And he recorded and released his first audiobook, and it was quite cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a dream job.
So, this has been Oops All Segments. Carly, thank you so much for coming on. It was a blast to have you.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And it's lovely to see you both as always.
Yeah.
Well, it's not as always. You don't know me. Obviously, you don't know me
because you would have let me. We went to a show together.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Is that for real?
I drove you.
Kevin, she came along when we saw Ben Schwartz, and look at you now. And now his face is so red, he's sinking back into his gorilla blanket.
This is why I didn't choose you.
Holy shit. She drove us to and fro.
Oh my god. I am so sorry.
It wasn't medieval times. Maybe you would have remembered then. But
and I wasn't a limo driver.
I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that. I'm sorry. I blame the drugs. Wow. See,
this was a twist ending.
It is very fun to get to be reminded of how I know you and that I know you at all at the very end of the show. That's fun. That's a good time.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Carly,
piece of shit.
That was the prestige. That was incredible. Is there anything you would like to plug? Or I mean, we're doing a show together this week.
God.
That's
yes,
one
this
thing.
Thursday.
But anything else you'd
Well,
like
it's not.
to
This
plug?
isn't going to come out then. This will come out on the Monday after. So
yeah, but I mean, in
Well-
general, Carly does the show every week, but
okay.
maybe other things.
Yeah. What do you want to plug?
Yeah. I do shows. It's called $10 Comedy on Tuesdays and Thursdays at Second City. It's called that because it costs that. And it's at 8:30 on Tuesdays, at 9 o'clock on Thursdays. And then I also do an improvised Golden Age of Radio show, which is the first Sunday of every month at the Bughouse Theater at, I believe,
fun.
5 o'clock.
The golden
So-
age of radio. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, it's fun. It's super fun. I get to
Cool.
use a mid-Atlantic accent.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Very good
Beautiful.
times, very good things, very good stuff. Folks, we are nearing our 100th episode. Things are going crazy over here at the Oops Den. Send in your segments. Look at the description there. There's a Google form. You can go and send us a segment. Now Spotify has comments, YouTube has comments. If you got a segment suggestion, just fucking write it in there. I'll look at
That's
it.
actually a great way to get us a little more engagement. If you write them in the comments, we'll find them, but it also might get more people to listen and see what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So make sure you do that. Also, if you want to check out Thomas and I's other show, check out What We Do in the Basement. It's a Let's Play D&D comedy podcast that Thomas was doing for about 70 episodes before he gave up the ghost, as they say. That isn't accurate. He didn't die, but he might as well have in my heart. T, do you have anything that you want to plug?
No, I'm uncut, as it were. I'm off drunk Shakespeare.
For
I'm
once
going
in your
with the
fucking
wind.
life, you can use that phrase.
Off the performance grid.
Yeah, if anyone has any performance opportunities, I am desperate. So please,
Right,
you live in
right.
Chicago, put me in a show. I'm pretty funny. I'm pretty
He is.
good.
He is.
I
put me
can
in.
testify. He's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if you've made it to this point in the show, you either hate him or love him. And either way, it's good to get him in your show. You can abuse him if you put him in your show. You can sort of make him feel less than. You can sort of make him sort of the butt of most of your jokes in the green room. He takes really well to that sort of behavior from what I understand. And and from he doesn't usually say boo. Is usually sort of the way that the most thing I know about Thomas. Carly, thank you so much for doing the show with us.
It's so
I'm
nice
glad
to see you again.
Kevin, you should have watched the trailer for your friendship with Carly before this. You went in fully
You should have.
unprepared.
You were just blank slating it.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
No, of course I don't.
That's my poetry is the true version of the universe. My poetry is the true version of the universe. My poetry is the true version of the universe. My poetry is the true version of the universe. Yeah, exactly. That it. Yeah, exactly. That it. Yeah, exactly. That it. Yeah, exactly. That it. I want a celery bean. I want a celery bean. I want a celery bean. I'll bring it in if you don't believe me. They should celebrate me instead. They should celebrate me instead. They should celebrate me instead. I want a celery bean. Is this okay for everyone? Is this okay for everyone? Is this okay for everyone? Is this okay? Rats. I'm not framing the question properly. 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 Rats. I asked the question very poorly. Yeah, exactly. That it. I asked the question very poorly. They should celebrate me instead. I asked the question very poorly. Yeah, exactly. That it. I asked the question very poorly. I'm not framing the question properly. Chopping off his manhood and throwing it away, and then chopping off his manhood. His manhood went down into his inside. His manhood went down into his inside. Swallowed Anu's man. Swallowed Anu's man. Swallowed Anu's man.
Yeah, exactly. That it. What's that?